not Jared. Actually, I do love your shirt too, Jared. I love all three of your shirts. My mom bought me a Doomsday shirt, but I haven't gotten it yet. It's at her house, and I don't know if it'll fit me or not because I'm fat again.
Well, Scream Team Releasing is our sponsor, so we gotta wear it once in a while. Hi, YouTube.
Hello, YouTube.
Hola, YouTube. That means hello.
Oh. Mike, you're dropping some knowledge on us today.
I've been saying that word in a totally different reference lately.
I mean, yeah, not to be confused with namaste, which means fuck off.
If anybody watches on YouTube, in the description, we have links to Bryan's articles for reviews and the Rise and Fall of Resident Evil. So,
all right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Resident Evil 2 episode here today. I am excited for this. I know that you're excited. I know that we got members here on the Hearts, and in fact, everyone and then some are excited to talk about Resident Evil 2, which just came out last week, and I have played every single scenario at least 5 times. I'm kidding, at like 4 times. But let's get this started. My name is Bryan Enright. You can follow me on Facebook at Bryan Enright or Instagram you can follow me at The Horror Jew on Twitter and Instagram. Up next, we have Jared Letourneau. Hold on, Jared. I'll give you the buzz when I'm ready for you. And I am ready for you. Jared, good evening.
Hey!
Good evening, boils and ghouls. You guys can follow me on Facebook at Jared Letourneau or on the Twatverse at @zombie_survivor. And I'm just going to add this, Patrick Mahomes for MVP. Back to you, Bryan.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Up next, we have award-winning director and his girlfriend, Mike Lombardo and Lex Quinn. Guys, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
You can find me at realsplatter.com, real with 2 E's, facebook.com/realsplatter, screamteamreleasing.com, where you can pick up a copy of I'm Dreaming of a White Doomsday, of course. But tonight, you can find me, along with my heart, in Raccoon City, because that's where we is.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mike. And, of course, last but not least, our president and creator of this whole shabam, Ray Merrick. Ray, good evening.
Good evening, evening, everyone. I was getting ready to stutter, then I went ahead and did the purposeful stutter. You can find me on Instagram to follow my beard at Razor33 or I don't know, on Facebook or something.
You've got a beard, Ray? What's her name?
What's her name? Sally.
Sally. Well, she's cute and twitchy, and I don't mind it.
So, gentlemen and ladies, we have been waiting a long time for this, a very long time. I know longer time, people waiting longer than others, but we are here. 21 years later since the initial release of the Capcom classic Resident Evil 2, we are brought this beautiful gift called Resident Evil 2. It's not even a remaster. It's more like a reimagination of the game. And for those who have played it, whether you're a new person playing it or whether you're an old school a fan of Resident Evil like myself, Mike Lombardo, Lex Quinn, Ray, and Jared, like ourselves, it had a lot of moments. Well, I'm not saying a lot of moments. It had a shit ton of moments that were great and brought us back to those old school feelings of feeling afraid. Being alone at a police station during a zombie apocalypse. Now, guys, it's here. What do you think of it so far? Let's get into this. Resident Evil 2.
I love it.
I'm gonna build on what Ray says, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna go out there and say I fucking love it.
Oof.
He's gonna one-up it.
Damn it, Mike.
Although I do have issues, but we'll get into that later.
I'm just gonna jump right out and say one of my first impressions was when Leon gets to the police station. I had to stop and look around the police station because, I got that feeling of playing the original game.
Yeah.
And it just took me right back. I'm like, am I 17 again?
That deja vu do.
What?
That deja vu do.
It was deja vu, but I literally thought I was 17 again, like when the game came out. And then I looked in the mirror and I saw this awful beard, and I'm like, fuck.
I remember when I was you're a little bit older than me, Ray, but I was 11 when the game came out. I'm sorry, I was 12. 12. And it came out, I believe, January 21st, 22nd, something like that.
It was 31st.
Something like that.
21st.
I played it like the second day it came out. We got to rent it from Blockbuster. We had to like put our name on a list to pre-order, like to reserve a rental copy because it was so popular. But we had played me and my brothers had played the demo that came with Resident Evil Director's Cut, and it was in a fucking city, and I was like, oh my god. So then we got the game. I ended up for my birthday, which is March 9th. My mom's like, "What do you?" I'm like, "I want Resident Evil 2." So we went to the game store. I got that, a Mega Memory card, and a strategy guide for it. Which I don't know why. I guess it has like secrets, like funny background gags and shit in it. I think that's why I bought it, because you do not need a strategy guide for Resident Evil 2. But I still have all three of those things, and it is my favorite game of all time. And when I put this one in, and just like you, when I saw that police station, I was like, oh my fucking god. This is like, holy shit.
So, do you remember how many memory blocks it took up?
It was like 4, I want to say.
Was it 4 or 8 or so? I thought it was like damn near a whole card, like the original
by
card.
the time scenarios, then like the extreme battle, and then hunk and shit, it took up like an entire memory card.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember getting Resident Evil 2 the very first day it came out. I got my PlayStation as well. And there was this commercial that was put on the air. It didn't even last a week, but it was a Resident Evil commercial. Not the George Romero one, but there was ones that showed scenes from the George Romero one where Brad Renfro was running through the hallway in the prison cell, which we did not get in that original release. We were never walking through an island of arms reaching out for us in a prison.
Yeah.
But it was like a zombie. It was like a Christmas tree, and then a zombie popped out, and it said Resident Evil 2. And I knew I had to get it. I got my mom to get me a PlayStation that day, and the fucked up thing was that I didn't buy a memory card. So,
welcome to the way I played Resident Evil 1, because I bought the PlayStation for that game and didn't have a memory card, so I had to start over every time I wanted to play the damn game.
Really?
That was a new thing at the time. Like, I didn't know what the hell a memory card was. I'm like, what does that mean?
That was the first game I bought on the PlayStation, was the first Resident Evil.
Me too. That and Madden 95, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead.
I played the original Resident Evil at Nick Austin's house. He's the kid that lived down the street. His older brother had it. And I remember I ran home. I was so terrified of the game, but I ran home and I was excitedly screaming at my mom, "We've got to get the game with the mummies you have to kill twice." Because you shoot them, they fall over, then they get back up. And then, like, when the blood comes out, they're dead. And then we got the game finally for PlayStation. I would make my little brother Joey play it because I was scared, and I'd make fun of him for getting scared playing it. Like, when the dogs break through the windows in the first hallway, like, that still fucking bugs me out so much. I drop the controller.
Jumping at the mirrors. Oh, man.
Yeah, dude. Like when Resident Evil 2 came out, not having a memory card, I think it was like the first time that I ever developed a sort of a PTSD of dying after I get far in the game, only to find out that I didn't have a checkpoint. I start at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah, there's no passwords.
Yeah, there was passwords, like for like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega, but like when you're because we were playing a video game on these new next gen consoles, well, older classic consoles. I had a Nintendo 64 before I got a PlayStation. So when you died in the Nintendo 64 game, your game saved, and no matter where you were at, you were still able to go back and play where you were. That wasn't the case with PlayStation, because if you didn't have a memory card, you're screwed, especially Resident Evil.
Yeah.
And I had my so in order to save everything, I was scared and I paused the game and I went to sleep and I just turned my TV off, and I guess the sound was still barring through, so I heard nightmarish echoes of the undead while I was trying to go to sleep and get ready for 5th grade.
5th grade.
Well,
I was a senior in high school. God.
it
I
wasn't
remember, I remember spending like freaking almost $300 for an original PlayStation when I was a freshman in high school.
yeah,
Is that how much they were going for?
it was probably more than that, honestly. Like, people forget how everyone's like, oh man, games are $60, $70 now. I'm like, that's how much they cost back in the early 90s too.
And there were some games that were $90 back then.
Some of them were, yeah, some of them were even more. Like, shit was no joke.
God. I remember my mom looking at me like, do you really want to do this? You're spending all the money you've made.
It's like,
I want to do this, and I want this game called Resident Evil.
Yeah.
seen these mummies? Like, come on.
Yeah. And it's totally worth it because the X gonna give it to you.
Yeah. So we should be talking about Resident Evil.
All right, so we have the new Resident Evil 2. We talked a little bit about the classic. You can catch our classic talk in older episodes of the Horror Syndicate Live and THS Lives. We're here to talk about the new Resident Evil 2. Now, one of the things that they insisted on having come after you was Mr. X. Now, in the original game, Mr. X was just a scenario B only thing. But in this case, Mr. X will follow you in both scenarios A and B. I know, Mike, that you had a little bit of kind of like negative feelings about that.
This is Mike's Resident Evil 2 remake gripe number 1. Mr. X does not belong in campaign A. I mean, I'm not spoiling the trailer for every game for it. I really feel, I mean, I have not played scenario B, so I cannot speak to that, but I really feel like it would have been better as a separate thing because the stuff that they changed up in the original campaigns, and less so with Claire, and I'm not going to say why because that would be spoilerish, but with Leon, I just felt like it was everything was so compressed because they're trying to get all the iconic moments in, but then they also had to throw in all the Mr. X shit, and I feel like it kind of takes away from both. Like, when they introduced Mr. X in campaign B, you know, you hear the helicopter and the thing drops through the ceiling. It's a lot more, it's like, oh, that's what that is. But if you didn't play the original, you'd have no fucking idea what the hell was going on in this one. That actually happens a lot, where there's a lot of little things. Like William Birkin, for instance, in Leon's campaign, you don't even know who the fuck he is. He's just a dude. It's like, I know this is important, but why?
Yeah.
Because they don't actually say anything about him, and you don't get that flashback, Annette's recollection of what happened. You don't get that till the last 10 minutes of the game instead of like the midway point.
Yeah, and that's the thing that this new game did was, you know, like you said with the helicopter, you got that in the original game. You got that in scenario B, where if you were, because you get to the RPD a little bit earlier than scenario A, and you're able to witness a whole cutscene where one of the police officers trying to escape on a helicopter gets attacked by zombies, shoots the pilot, and then the helicopter crashes into the building. And you also
scenes.
Yeah, and these were pivotal scenes, especially the when the Umbrella when the Umbrella Corps come into the labs to take the G virus from William Birkin. That was a huge scene that they just cut out of the game. But I found out that there's good news about that. All of those scenes will be seen in the free downloadable content on February 15th. Playing as I believe the mayor's daughter is one of them, and then the other one is Kendo, who meets his demise. Yeah, Kendo meets his demise very early on in Resident Evil 2, the original 1998. But in this game, he's kind of a character that you will see again. And he's not in it a lot, but he does have a little bit of appearance in it.
Well, I feel like his scene was too short too. It was good, but it was too brief.
Well, you get to play as him, and you also get to play as Hunk. Not in extreme battle mode or a timed mode where you have to go from point A to point B, but you play as Hunk during the intro of going into the Hive and then escaping the Hive. So I believe that we will be seeing those William Birkin scenes with the Umbrella Corps in that DLC content.
Yeah,
I'm hoping we get an ironclad battle to the death, shirtless and with swords.
That is in the that's in the paid DLC.
Oh crap!
Like Resident Evil 5 had Jill's nightmare. This is Jared's fantasy. But the fact that they cut out that scene of the Umbrella Corps going into through the sewers, that was like a huge blow to the game, because what they did instead, I thought, was actually pretty lame. I did not like the way that unfolded in Leon's campaign. But I'm curious about the mayor's daughter thing, because she wasn't even mentioned in the regular game. Like, I knew what it was because I know the original game, but they just didn't address it, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, there's a bunch of little stuff like that, but I did not know they were doing free DLC like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's all coming out February 15th, I believe, is when they start rolling them out. And it's kind of, it kind of makes you realize that Resident Evil 2 is not done. We live in an era where you can make an entire different game with downloadable content. So, and that also brings to my next point. What else are we going to see with in the world of Raccoon City? Because in the earlier games, we got to see an outbreak, and not in so much of Resident Evil 2, but you got more of walking around the city in the original game than you did pretty much in this one. And also, the third act in the labs was a lot better in the original game than it was.
I agree. It felt very short and very easy. Although, without spoiling anything, I'm not sure how you guys feel about it, but what they added in that segment, I think, was really, really fucking cool. And I think you guys probably know what I'm talking about. With the enemies and stuff, I just thought that was a really interesting twist. I really like that. But
I do remember the naked guy running away. That was a big thing.
Well, Jared, that was actually the original Resident Evil 2. There was a whole load of naked zombies, but they cut that out, which really annoyed me, actually.
Oh, yeah.
The skinless ones.
Crap.
I don't know. What do you think, Ray?
I mean, you guys are pretty much saying everything that I don't have anything to say. I'm listening and I'm like, these guys are a bunch of assholes.
No, I mean,
I don't know. I don't have much. If you're talking about the DLC type stuff, I don't have much to say about that because I'm not really that concerned about that stuff. And then with it not being a multiplayer game, it's like, what could they bring? I honestly would like to see a couple of mini missions with random survivors or something. I think that'd be cool inside the city, because that was one of the things I preferred about Resident Evil 3 over 2 was being more in the actual city than the police station and whatever else.
Yeah,
like you'd like to see something more like Resident Evil Outbreak, like the PS2 game, where you're actually like just random people in the city.
Hey, just a couple like short, maybe hour-long missions like that would be fun.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but Kazunori Kadoi, whatever his name is, whatever his name is, he's one of the creators of the franchise. Kazunori was one of the writers and programmers for Resident Evil Outbreak File 1 and 2. So that's why the police station looks very similar to the ones that they use in Outbreak, and a lot of the scenes through the streets look very similar to Outbreak File 1 and 2. Those are great games. The multiplayer, you hated them. I loved them. The multiplayer was not for everybody.
I never played them.
But yeah, no, on top of that, Ray, I would love to see Capcom offer different survivors modes, different people you could play as escaping the streets.
That would be interesting, having some hobo-legged prostitute still trying to make it through the streets.
That would be very cool. What so this free DLC, what I really liked about this game too is that there is a ton of unlockable stuff. Like the original, I like that they still did the A and B scenarios, and then they had costumes and infinite ammo, all that kind of crap. You can still unlock all of those things in Tofu, so it's got a lot more value to it than a normal game of this era, because normally everything is DLC you have to pay for, and the fact that they're even adding free DLC I think is really cool. But I noticed when I bought the game there was no option for a season pass for the DLC, so I was happy about that. But I'm wondering, is there going to be paid DLC? Are they going to actually do anything like what Ray was saying with the survivors? That I feel like that would be something you'd have to pay for.
I would assume so.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't read anything about DLC except
seems like all the new games are always putting out different DLCs. Wait a couple months.
A lot of that stuff for online modes. anymore. I think, or I know that's not true because I guess my Assassin's Creed that I just had been playing had a whole story. It's like $20 though, but
yeah, it's like a full-on expansion pack. My roommate.
yeah, I mean that would be awesome if they just added Resident Evil 3. And no, I haven't seen anything. The only thing I saw that they have in the store, you can, if you didn't get the Ultimate Edition or whatever it is, you can get some of these other skins and then the original theme and stuff. I can see stuff like that happening, but I don't. That doesn't really appeal. The theme does, but the alternate skins doesn't even appeal to me.
Yeah.
So, you know, no, that's not true because they have the original
the classic skins. They have they remastered Claire and Leon as like their polygon PS1 selves. That is the coolest fucking thing ever. And then also I bought the expensive one where I can get the soundtrack from the original in the game, and that's how I'm going to replay it because that's a huge difference. And
God,
that's where I messed up. I should have gotten that one.
Well, you can buy that option for like I think like $5.
I saw it on there.
It makes the game like I don't know. It makes you feel giddy inside playing with the original sound, and it has all the original sound effects too. Like when you open up the treasure chest and when you combine items together, which is fucking fantastic.
Well, like what I think is that's actually that's Lombardo's gripe number 2, and I guess eventually I'll say about things I like about the game at some point. But the soundtrack to it, the score is good. But it's very minimal, which is, I understand they did that intentionally just so they could maximize silence and make you tense. But the music from the original Resident Evil 2, and I mean all the old Resident Evil games, they were so distinctive and such a part of the experience because like the new police station is so confusing to get around because there's like stuff barricaded and holes in the walls. You got to go through these crazy ass backwards ways, and everything is so dark and murky. I didn't realize what rooms I was in half the time, but the music is those cues are like, oh, I know this hallway, I know this hallway, I know this room. From the original, and there's no distinct music. The only distinct theme really is Mr. X, and that's usually the Jaws theme, which is great. But like, I don't know how you guys felt about that, but I kind of got lost because the music wasn't there.
He just had a warble whenever he showed up, like, and then like he was like, oh shit, it's Mr. X, and yeah, no, I mean, like, you're absolutely correct. Like, there's the music played an important factor in the original games, and the new music was very minimal, where it came to a point where it's just like, all right, this is kind of boring. Like, I got more fear playing the original soundtrack than the silence and the remakes music.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I may have to download the original audio. I wish I had the original voice cast too.
Oh my god, that'd be so good. There was Lex showed me a YouTube or a stream. It was on YouTube. I think it was someone streamed the whole game being played with the voice actor that played Leon, like there, and they were interviewing him while they played.
Oh,
and it's really interesting because he had never seen the game before. He was like 20 when he did the voice. And he was just like, yeah, my friend was a chick, and she's like, I need a job. She was like, hey, maybe I can get you in as the girl in this game. And she played Claire.
Oh.
It's so weird how that shit happens. But yeah, it was really interesting to hear his stories about like working for Capcom in 1997. It's kind of cool.
I want to talk about my favorite villain in the entire game that was short-lived but could have been so much better, and that is Chief Bryan Irons.
Oh my fucking god.
They made him into they made him scarier than Mr. X and William Birkin combined. He comes off as like this pseudo like pedophile, but he's Mike, you want to talk about him? I know you do. Oh, Mike's frozen. Well, if Mike was here, he would want to say that yes, Brian, I totally agree with you. Outbreak File 1 and 2 was a really great Resident Evil game, and you're also correct about Chief Police Bryan Irons. No, they did a really fantastic job with Bryan Irons because in the original game, they didn't really have him as like an evil character. He was just there, and he was trying to find Sherry. But in Resident Evil 2 reboot, Ray, have you gotten to that part yet?
No.
I won't ruin it. But
No.
he plays a bigger role in this game, and it's really fun to watch it because the intensity of Bryan Irons, it kind of resembles kind of like the classic like Norman Bates type villain, where it's like he's sneaky, but he's also scary because you know that he has different motives.
Yeah.
But it definitely is. You'll get to the point in it.
Yeah, I've been lacking on playing. I really need to play more. I got to a point and stopped, and I've been busy all week. And I've been thinking about it all week, wanting to play it. That's the worst part about it, and just not having the time. Yeah, it's stupid.
That's always the worst when you're thinking about a game and you want to play it, and you're just like, you just sit there in your own thoughts thinking about it, but you're like, I have a shit ton of other things to do.
Yeah, that's how it's been all week. I mean, it's also, I can't play it while I'm watching these movies I've been watching. So I'm doing other things like writing and stuff like that. And Mike says his internet is down. Fuck.
No, it's down. Fuck.
It's down. Fuck.
But the game is crazy good. When I first played it, my first reaction was there's all these scenes missing, and it's kind of upsetting. Because these were pivotal moments in the game that you have to experience. But yeah, hi Mike. We're just go ahead. I know you want to talk about.
No, that's internet. When my internet dropped out, I thought that someone like hit like a pole or something from the storm, but it's bad. It just randomly blipped back on. No, I think Claire's campaign is so much better because of Irons, because he's like an actual like villain, and they give like backstory, and it's really scary. Like, and the segments that you play involving him they kind of don't fit the style of the rest of the game. Like, they kind of come off more like Outlast, but I mean, it's refreshing, and they're just really, really fucking good.
Yeah,
I would love to see more stuff like that.
Yeah. And, it speaks something when you have a villain that is not a zombie, that is not a BOW. For the first time, it's an actual human being with who's just evil. And you get that fear of running away from him, then Mr. X. Like, when you're getting chased by, Bryan Irons, you're kind of freaking out a little bit.
You think that his that added scene is because of nowadays they can put more effort in the story than the old days, like, because the other game sure had a story, but like it was kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but like nowadays you can really tell more story, and the game can be more story based than before. Does that make sense?
No, I know what you're saying. Basically, like, the storytelling,
more dynamic elements to it.
A lot. Like, you get games like Red Dead and stuff, and even like Metro, there's super heavy story based. I would agree with that, but I think that the original Resident Evil 2 I actually feel like had more story than the new, at least Leon's campaign. Like, Leon's campaign felt very light to me. Claire's campaign, they definitely beefed up. Like, Claire's campaign with the storytelling, like you're saying, I think is definitely much more like a modern game because of those abilities. But I don't know, Leon's campaign really just kind of dropped the ball. Like, Ada's character has a little bit more to her, I guess. But I just didn't feel, he's just like, I felt like Leon was kind of like generic male character who's in a horror game. Like, he didn't really feel like a character to me.
Like Chris did in the first one.
Yeah, exactly. Like Jill felt more like a character than Chris did.
If somebody's going to go out and buy the game because of watching us, what version would you tell them to play first, Leon or Claire?
I would play Leon.
I went to Leon first.
I mean, Leon's a guy, and no one wants to play as a gross girl because girls suck.
No, I like playing as a girl.
Leon first is better because you don't see as much of the environment as you do with Claire. So I think that if you played it backwards, I think I would have been annoyed as shit that there was less to Leon's campaign than Claire's campaign. Also, Claire, I think playing through Claire's campaign right now, I'm doing a lot better because I know some of the areas, like what to expect, and Claire's weapons aren't quite as good as Leon's. So I think that if I started as Claire, I'd be super frustrated because it's a lot harder. So I think Leon is the better start.
Yeah, honestly, it doesn't matter because every scenario, I know you had some peeves, Mike. My biggest pet peeve with Resident Evil 2 Remake, and it doesn't take away the overall factor of it being a great game. it's just my little pet peeve with being like such a diehard fan for a long time, is that every scenario is you have the same boss fights with the exception of 1 or 2. And with the original Resident Evil, if you played scenario A, you weren't fighting the same bosses in scenario B. You were fighting different bosses at a different time, and then ultimately it led up to that final moment of escaping on the train.
Right.
And with that being said, you fight the same bosses in both Claire A and Claire B scenario, and you fight the same bosses in both Leon A and Leon B scenario. And it gets a little redundant, especially beating all the scenarios. I mean, each storyline is different. But with that being said, it's a great game. I wouldn't stop anyone from playing it. It's just that when it comes to comparing the two, Resident Evil 98 did a much better job of having those distinctive storylines separated overall than just having you do the same shit 4 times.
Well, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like I'm at the end with Claire's campaign, and I kind of stopped playing for a couple days because I'm like, I kind of got burnt out. I'm like, this is literally the same fucking game again, except for when it gets different, it's amazing. But I feel like it is a little redundant. I'm like, I don't feel like I'm playing something that wildly different. But Claire's campaign in the original was a lot different. But also, I really think the problem is Mr. X shouldn't be in campaign A.
Yeah.
It makes so much more sense to add him, because then, like, having him in campaign A, I didn't feel like I could freely explore the area and really get into it because I'm always running away from him and shit. It was annoying.
Mm.
I like that better in campaign B because I already know my way around and everything. So I'm like, okay, now let's throw in like the alien from Alien Isolation.
Well, let me ask you something. Do you think that adding Mr. X so early on in the game is preparation for what Capcom has to offer for Resident Evil 3 with Nemesis? Lex
definitely thinks that. I'm curious because they did, if I'm not mistaken, they did say they were working on it, right? Anyone knows that?
They are fumbling about saying that if there's enough people buying the copies of Resident Evil 2 that they're going to make it, but going through the internet wormholes, it's already finished. They're polishing it, and we're expected to see something very soon, and they're going to surprise us like they did Q3 last year with Resident Evil 2. So the game is pretty much it's already set in stone, and I think they're trying to see how what the feedback would be with Resident Evil 2, because Resident Evil 2 and 3 were both very similar but different in a way, because Resident Evil 3 gave you the option to dodge. It gave you the option to collect more ammo and get bigger guns and fight like hordes and hordes of zombies. Resident Evil 2, it would throw like 3 or 4 at you at a time, and then it would be very scarce for a while. But Resident Evil 3 would add like rooms of zombies after you, and then here comes Nemesis shooting a rocket launcher at you.
Stars.
Well, I've recently heard that Resident Evil 8 is actually under development, so it kind of makes me wonder that. Huh?
Is it a sequel to 7, or is it?
All I heard is it's rumored to be in development, but the thing is, and this is what I get excited about. It's after. It'll come out after 3 Nemesis. So I'm kind of curious as why they're gonna. I don't know how 7 ended, or if it even, But I've heard it's gonna go back to over the shoulder and not gonna be a first person, so I can play it. But why continue the series if you're remaking all the fucking games?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope that they make Resident Evil 5 officially not canon. Because at Resident Evil 5, there is a file saying that Nikolai survives Raccoon City, when we all know that Nikolai did not survive Raccoon City. There's 2 different ways.
Should also be dead, but you know how that worked out.
Is that your only reason?
It's okay.
No, the game's terrible and trash.
I like 5.
Yeah.
I
love
it. Lex up here, she'll defend it. So speaking of what you said about Resident Evil 3 having the option to dodge, that's my other big pet peeve with Resident Evil 2 Remake, is that you cannot dodge because the zombies are 9 feet tall and the environments are like 3 feet wide. So if you even go so much as near them, they're already biting you. Mm-hmm. But then they try to balance it with defense items. But the defense items, I wish that I could just run past them instead of using those every time, because that got kind of old.
Well, I understand that it's a remake, and that's one of the things that bothers me about it, because in any other game you can push somebody off you or whatever. Yeah. Why didn't they update it so much to where you can do that stuff? I know the knife is a nice option, but then you got to go back and get the fucking knife out of the damn zombie.
Yeah.
You know, and then the knife, runs out it gets dull or breaks or whatever. But yeah, why can't when the zombie comes at you, just, get off me? And then I hate that. It's like, I guess they're trying to keep it as close as possible. Well, they already changed the gameplay because it's not fixed camera angles anymore. It's, why not add that little bit to it and just keep the same story? Well, not the complete same story, but, the story very similar, the environment very similar, and because that's one thing that always bothered me about that one and now this one. That pisses me off, actually.
Well, in the original, you could dodge a little bit more effectively. They gave you a little bit wider area to go. It wasn't always like, when I see a zombie in this one, I'm like, fuck, I'm screwed. I only have 30 bullets because it takes 30 fucking bullets.
Well, maybe that's part of that fear element, in the game. It's like I had 2 shotgun shells the first time I saw liquor, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I was dead.
Yeah, well, they made the liquors very much like Alien Isolation style stuff, where like you have to sneak by them, and like I don't know how I feel about the gameplay change. They definitely made it feel more modern, and I'm like, I don't know that I want stealthish stuff in this game. Like I like
regurgitate the same game,
No, I mean I get it. Like, but I mean, you look at the Resident Evil 1 remake. I think they had a really nice balance. Like they still expect you to fight everything. It's just, but I think these enemies were really overpowered just across the board. Even the bosses in this game are like bullet sponges to fucking hell. And it got annoying quick. But yeah, when you're putting 15 rounds into a zombie's head and it gets back up like 20 minutes later, when you're going through, like that annoyed the shit out of me.
I agree with you 100% because that's annoying. One shot to the head usually kills a zombie.
This conversation is cute. Wait till you guys play the For Survivor and Tofu. They send amounts of zombies after you. Tofu is absolutely bonkers because he responds in Japanese, and you get to play different types of tofu, and you even get to play as a flan. So,
how do you unlock Tofu? Is that just the same as
Hunk? You have to beat Hunk, and when you beat Hunk, you unlock the Tofu mode, and then you start unlocking different Tofus. The first Tofu has all knives. You run through, you escape, you put your knives in where you need to put your knives.
Or I'll see it when I unlock it.
No,
I like tofu with soy sauce.
No, I will tell you, Mike Lombardo, because
don't spoil it for him.
All right, it's you just run. It's a mission where you just run past everyone. You have to get to the extraction point. It's hilarious. Go on YouTube, watch the videos. But you get bigger weapons as you go along, and they play hair metal Japanese music as you're running. So there's like shredding guitars, and it's really wacky, but it's a lot of fun. It kind of restored my faith in all those like missing cutscenes that we got from the game when it came out. But there is a way to dodge zombies, and I will tell you how to do it. So when you're walking up to the zombie straight ahead, they're coming after you. As soon as they get up to you, I wouldn't say arm's length because they've already got you by then. But a little bit, you tap back on the analog and you press R3 to do like this run, and the zombies not a 180 spin, but that they tell you with the prompt, like down the analog and then circle, or X if you're playing on Xbox. But you go up and then you tap down the L3 button, whatever run button is, and you kind of fake them out and run, and then they go like that. And that gives you time to run around.
I remember doing that before. Yeah, the old broken leg method.
Yep.
The broken ankle method.
You do that, and for the zombies that are really hard to kill, you have them. You make sure you get behind them because they're not really fast as turning around as they were in the original games. But if you have a knife or if you have a gun, go for the legs. This will subdue them into getting onto a lower part of the ground, and they're a lot slower. You don't necessarily have to kill every zombie that you see unless you're playing easy mode, where they give you a shit ton of bullets and aim assist. But
I killed pretty much most of the zombies. What I started doing, I learned in Claire's campaign, which I wish I would have realized in Leon's, is if you shoot the fuckers in the head until they fall over, then just knife them in the head and they'll die like instantaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like that's so. And I also just started knifing every dead body I see because you can kill them without them even being able to get up. And that doesn't make any sense to me because a knife should not be more powerful than a fucking handgun. But it works, and it takes very little wear and tear on the knife because when you use it as a defense item, that like knocks half of it away.
Yeah,
that's what I saw.
What's that?
Yeah.
Jay?
Oh, full disclosure, Syndicate. I have not played the game. I watched a playthrough earlier for about an hour, but yeah, when you use it as a defense weapon, I was surprised to see that it takes like half of the life of the knife off.
Yeah, they really kind of punish you for getting touched by a zombie.
Uh-huh.
But you know, if you want to unlock infinite health with the knife, what you have to do is you have to find all of the raccoon bobblehead dolls. There are 15 of them. You take them all in the game. Every scenario you play on, whatever difficulty you play on, you'll have unlimited knife. Now, if you want unlimited handgun, you have to beat any scenario that's easy aim assist, normal, or hardcore mode. You have to beat the game under 3 hours and 30 minutes. That is doable. It's just a lot of running, a lot of knowing your shit when doing the puzzles. But then you get the unlimited handgun, which is the Samurai's Edge or something like that.
Yeah, that's one of the DLC weapons.
Yeah,
it's Wesker's gun.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you get that, and you can use that. And the only thing is, you cannot use infinite ammo and infinite knife if you want to get the Gatling gun or the infinite rocket launcher, and that is infinite rocket launcher. So you get the Gatling minigun when you beat any Claire file under 3 hours, no saves on hardcore mode, and you have to get an S+ ranking. Now, for Leon, you have to do the same thing, but you'll get the rocket launcher.
Fuck that bullshit.
I don't think I'm ever going to be getting either of those.
But I just wanted to give you guys a heads up there. And make sure there are parts for your guns all over the RPD.
Yeah.
And on the sewers.
Yeah.
You have to make sure you get those parts. If you're Claire, you get a full machine gun with the USB Stars badge. You put that shit away after you put it in the computer. You go down where you first meet your encounter with William Birkin, all the way at the third, at the basement of that floor. There is a locked chest. You put the USB or the Stars badge in there, and you get the machine gun parts.
Yeah, well, that annoyed me. Leon getting the machine pistol, which was really good in the original, but in this one, you shoot a zombie once, and then they do this. So getting 3 shots, it's basically as you waste 3 bullets because you can never hit them again in the head when they're in one consecutive shot.
So do you think that the zombies being so difficult to take down kind of ruined the experience of Resident Evil?
It didn't ruin it, but it definitely annoyed me and made me not enjoy the game as much. Because they did the same shit in Resident Evil 7. The molded headshot's the only way to really kill them, and they would just switch around so much. And it's like, I'm not playing with a mouse and keyboard, you know? I can't precision. And like, when you're moving, you know, your reticule is this big when you're moving, and then after like a full minute, it shrinks. And then it does damage. And I'm like, you've got to pinpoint to hit them in the head if you want to do any real damage. It's just kind of annoying. Like, it's like I'm 2 feet, like literally they'll be at your feet and you aim right down at their head point blank, and then it's the reticule this big.
The one thing that I didn't like, well, I mean, I didn't really care for it, but when you play Resident Evil and if you die a lot, it will offer you before you start the game off to play in an easier mode with aim assist.
Dude, that was so insulting. I'm like, I've been playing this game since before you were born, game. I go into easy mode.
Yeah. So that was like, all right, I get what you're trying to do. If you're trying to beat the game under 3 hours, and if you know, of course, normal and easy mode, you have autosave. But if you're like, screw that, I'm gonna, you know, I don't want to, you know, die with pride. I'm gonna load my last game before you know, you just send me off of the checkpoint. Resident Evil makes it their mission to make every enemy twice as harder if you were to reload your game about 5 seconds previously before you died.
Wait, say this again?
All right. So you're playing the game and you try to beat it under 3 hours, right? If you die, you come back, but that timer is still running. If you try to cheat the timer by going back to a previous save, so that way the timer resets, Resident Evil will adapt to that and make the enemies twice as hard.
Conspiracy theory.
Yep. Because the game adapts with how well you're playing the game. If you're getting good at the game, it's gonna they do like some type of like difficulty meter where they see how well you're playing the game, and then they'll like make the enemies harder, or if they see that you're not so good at the game, they'll make the enemies very weak and dumb.
Are you fucking serious? This is on normal mode as well?
This is on all the modes, yeah.
That's so stupid. Fuck that.
Except hardcore mode. They're relentless. No
I don't
thanks.
like that.
But you get cool costumes. If you beat either Claire A or Leon A, you get the classic costumes, which are pretty exciting.
You get you also get like the noir costume and stuff.
Yeah, the like 50s fucking cop uniform. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so I don't know. The game is really fun. I'm really excited to see Resident Evil 3. I hope that they make the zombies a little bit easier to take down, because considering if they're going to send an excessive amount of zombies after you, along with Nemesis, they should definitely give you a lot more ammo and something to take them down with, because that's what that game really had. And I know that's Ray's favorite out of the bunch because of the action.
Stars.
I don't know if it's my favorite, but yeah, maybe it is.
Stars.
I like it a lot. What?
3 is really hard, but it's really good.
It is, but yeah, I don't know. I think when it originally came out, like I played through 1, and it took me forever. But of course, because I had to, restart every fucking time.
Memory card.
What are these little holes in the front of the PlayStation? What are these for? But no, and then when 2, I played 2 like over the course of an entire weekend into Monday or something like that. And then when 3 came out, I played it without sleeping. And then I did it again like 2 days later, and I just kept doing that. And I think that was my go-to Resident Evil game was 3. Like Brian, I think 2 is yours. You seem to know the original 2.
Yeah, I can play through 2 in 2 hours.
Yeah, Brian did live stream on our page.
I love 2. I think it's the best one out of the series, but 3 probably had me playing the most. Like that had much higher replayability. That was just one scenario. Shit.
That's fair.
I think part 2 is the game I've beaten more times than any other game in my life. I've probably beaten that game 50 times.
Part 2 is fucking awesome, man. They did a fantastic job.
No,
I've beat Contra more than that.
I've beat Contra a lot too. I was gonna say that, and
hard.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I think I've beaten.
Oh, that's another one I play a lot.
I still play that game. I love it.
The game's phenomenal. That soundtrack, man. I listen to it on my iPod all the time.
Yeah, it's wonderful. But that's probably if I have a top 10 favorite video games list, and I think Resident Evil 2 is actually on that list. Now that I think about it,
I think it was.
Let me look, because I was gonna say Symphony of the Night is on there, but I don't know. I always go back. I used to go back and forth between Resident Evil 2 and 3, which one I like better. I don't know. I do like 4 quite a bit too, but
they don't need to remake 4 anymore than they've already done. They've remastered that game so many times.
They don't need to do that. I would love to see a remaster of just 2, like just straight up remaster. That would actually be really cool. Even though they have.
So yeah. I've got Resident Evil 2 at number 10 on my list.
Ooh. Damn.
Contra is number 9.
We don't need to see a Code Veronica reboot.
No, well, Lex will disagree, but I think that's when the series started to go to shit.
Well, I think
it was an okay game.
I think it was part 5 where it started going to shit.
Symphony of the Night's number 2 on my list. RageOfRazor.com for the full list.
What do you say?
For my top 10 video game list, go to RageOfRazor.com. My top 10 favorites.
So we got a comment on Facebook about Resident Evil 8.
Okay.
From my brother, actually. It's from my little bro. He said Resident Evil 8 is rumored to take place on an abandoned island where Evelyn from Resident Evil 7 was created and other similar bioweapons.
Ah, man. You know what?
Code Veronica.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Code Veronica.
I really hope that they don't continue with Resident Evil 7. And I know it's straying away from our platform tonight. But Resident Evil 7 was good as a one-time thing. I don't want to play it again. It's Outlast with guns. And
I don't want that plot line. That plot line was not Resident Evil. they shoehorned in Umbrella at the end that annoyed me. I like the game though, but I don't think we need another game like that.
No.
Really?
What was that game about exactly?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I won't play it.
Yeah, it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets the stuff meets and I threw the stuff.
Stuff, really?
No.
No,
It's basically it's about a guy whose girlfriend disappears, and then like 3 years later she like contacts you and says, I'm in this random like abandoned plantation house in like Louisiana, come get me. So you go and there's like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre family, but they're all like mutating and shit, and then you have to run away from them, and it's I don't know, it's too over the top.
Does it have anything to do with the rest of the series, Ouroboros and all that shit?
Long story short, Resident Evil 2 doesn't come in until the downloadable content that you get after beating the game, which is called Not a Hero, and then you play as Chris Redfield.
Oh, that was so bad. Yeah, they basically shoehorned in Resident Evil at the end. Like, oh, by the way, it's a Resident Evil game, and I'm like, huh?
What was it called before?
No, I mean it was always made to be a Resident Evil game. Like it's very like atmospherically and spiritually, it's a Resident Evil game. Like it feels very much like you're in the old mansion, and they've got the kind of keys and stuff. Like it feels more like classic Resident Evil in first person mixed with Outlast or Alien Isolation. Because you get chased a lot by the family that they're kind of like the alien from Alien Isolation.
Where on the timeline is this?
In the
I
future.
don't think it is on the timeline at all. It's not related to the other ones, really.
No, Chris lost all of his arm muscle. He's scrawny.
Is Chris in the game?
But
he is at the DLC.
Yeah, he's in the DLC, but he's scrawny and doesn't look like any other model of Chris Redfield.
When does this game come out, Matthew Chavez? Is he talking about RE8? Probably next year sometime, I bet.
Yeah.
Chavez? You said Chavez?
Yeah, Chavez.
Chavez.
Now, one of the things I liked about Resident Evil 2 was I liked their effort of changing a lot of different parts of the story. I love that they brought back I keep fucking it up. It's Marvin, right? Not Martin. It's Marvin
Brownell or whatever.
Yeah,
I with him a lot.
Yeah, because he should have been more of a major character in the original game. Really wasn't, but they made him more of a fighter. Of course, the whole Bryan Irons thing was awesome. I liked what they did with the relationship with Sherry and Annette. Not so much.
Let's go back to Martin. Martin, right?
Marvin.
Yeah. So he's the guy that in the first game, you find him just laying there dying, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And in the new one, his intro was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
They actually have like a lot more character to him now. I like where he.
Yeah, I remember going back at one point to the lobby or whatever, and he's sitting there chilling. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I did that too. When Mr. X was attacking me, that's when I did that. I'm like, Marvin, help! Oh fuck.
Oh man, I gotta play this one after the show.
Yeah, no, you're gonna play it. You're also gonna live stream it, right? You got Twitch.
I don't know how to do that shit. I'm fucking almost 40, guys.
Oh, come on.
The game's not even his case.
He's an old guy. He doesn't know how to do it.
Twitch is easy. You get on your Xbox and you link you link up to it and you play online.
I could actually do that in here right now if I want. I could have been playing Resident Evil all the fucking time.
You could have been.
I got an Xbox in here now.
See what happens, old man.
Old man, get off my lawn.
But I like how they made Sherry and Annette more motherly, daughterly like. Because in the original one, it's like, oh, my daughter's somewhere in here. Big deal.
That was kind of a plot point in the new one, that Annette's a very, shitty mom. And I like that. I love what they did with that relationship with Claire and everything. I mean, they really, really did a great job with Claire's story campaign. Like, I'm really impressed. And I think the acting is really excellent with it, too.
Oh, another one that was my issue. Did we cover it? I don't know if we did. The very beginning, how Claire and Leon meet at the gas station. I kind of preferred when he went into town, saw the outbreak unfold in front of him, and then he went and found Claire at the restaurant.
I don't like the new intro at all. I mean, I
didn't mind it. It didn't bother me one bit.
Oh, you found Shopping Mall?
Yes. That's the product placement.
Don't make
Love
me
it.
get mine.
No, but
I found it.
I didn't mind it. I liked the intro with Leon at the gas station. I didn't expect her to show up, but it didn't bother me one bit. I mean, the one thing I miss from this game versus the original is the badass patch that she has on the back of her fucking jacket.
It's still there. It's just it's red on red. But I have this. Lex got me these pins, and it's the same logo, the Made in Heaven thing.
That's awesome.
And if you look in the Star's office, Chris's leather jacket is hanging on the wall, and it's the painted one.
Mhm.
On it.
Fuck Chris.
You can also see the photograph of the Alpha and Bravo team on Wesker's desk.
Yep. Did you find Rebecca Chambers' photo?
I found I didn't find Rebecca Chambers' photo, but there is another photo that
Wasn't she in Rabid?
a secret spot. Green and tan. She had a tan vest, green outfit, and she had red hair.
She's not the same person who was in Rabid. No, that was Marilyn Chambers.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's a porn star, different.
Was
Well,
totally.
Rebecca Chambers, there's a photo of her from the original game. When you find the secret in Wesker's desk, if you get that photograph,
Yeah.
if not, you have to hit A on it again, and it'll pick up another roll of film.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay.
She's the character from RE0, right?
Yeah, we don't talk about that because Zero is
That
the
game
chloride
does
game.
not exist.
It doesn't matter. It exists. Did I ever tell you about the time my friend Edgar bought Resident Evil and Resident Evil 0 on the GameCube? You remember how the GameCube's got these tiny discs, right?
Yeah.
These
Little
tiny, I
baby
love it.
discs.
Those little tiny discs. Anyway, he gets back. We were sharing an apartment at the time. He gets back, opens up RE0. He's like, all right, cool, I got that now. And he opens up Resident Evil 1 and had Resident Evil 0 in there. So he had 2 copies of Resident Evil 0.
Oh God.
Awful. That's
I don't know if that would happen, but
I would have set the whole
200%
console
more
on fire.
copies of Resident Evil 0 than anyone needs.
let me tell you something. He still has it that way. He
Really?
still has. He never went out and got Resident Evil after
Wow,
that.
the GameCube remake is excellent. I got the remaster of it for Xbox. I love it so much.
How is the remaster of it?
It's great. It looks really good. Actually, Resident Evil 0 is gorgeous on that remaster. I hate the game, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I was thinking about purchasing a couple of these remastered for the Xbox One games. I know
It's like $20 now. It's worth it just for the remake of the GameCube one.
I think I'm going to do it because I was debating on getting RE4 because I like that game no matter what anybody says about it. I think it's pretty good.
I think the masses love that game.
Lex,
I think the masses love that game.
Yeah, it's a fun game, and Lex, if she loves it, of course because she's wonderful. So
she is, but that game is trash.
You know,
is it street trash or just trash?
No, it's trash. I love street trash. This is just trash.
hey, now listen. Nothing would be as bad as Resident Evil 5. Even 6 was
6
fun.
is the worst one.
6 was fun. It was like we're just gonna go balls to the wall action.
6 made me so fucking dizzy. I couldn't even play it.
It wasn't as bad as the raccoon operative one.
Oh,
I didn't play that one. I
Operation
opened
Raccoon
it
City?
because it was Resident Evil 2, like set in Resident Evil 2 world.
yeah. Raccoon. Operation Raccoon City was fucking garbage. You got
Yeah.
at the end, you killed Leon and Claire, which makes no sense.
Wait, you
So
do?
but you know what? It doesn't matter. It's not even the best survival horror series.
Yeah.
I mean, Typing of the Dead is the best.
I still have my copy of Typing of the Dead for
Do
Dreamcast.
you?
It
I
taught
was
me how to
hoping
type without
you
looking.
did not even know that because I thought it was kind of obscure at this point.
No, I love it so much. It taught me how to type without looking. That game is hilarious too. Also,
Yeah.
worth a ton of money right now. Well, it has
Is it
been.
really?
It was, dude. I got it. Ironically, I got it because on eBay somebody spelled the title wrong, and I accidentally spelled it wrong, and so no one saw the auction
Oh.
because of a typo. And I got it for like $30,
For Typing of the Dead, that's hilarious.
which I thought was pretty funny.
Is it for the Dreamcast?
Yep.
Nice.
It has keyboard and everything.
I have. You want to hear something funny? I actually have copies of Resident Evil 2, 3, and Code Veronica on the PlayStation, the Dreamcast, and the GameCube. Code Veronica, actually, I take that back. That's PS2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have 3 copies of each of those games for some reason.
You have a Dreamcast, Trey?
What?
You have a Dreamcast?
Yeah.
Have you ever played Illbleed?
No.
It's the best fucking. It's the weirdest game ever. It's this really awesome B movie like horror game where you basically it's like really silly, but you go to an amusement park that is like if you can survive it, you get like $1 million. So you go there with your friends, and like you go through each level is a different movie parody, and you have to like there's like traps and scares that will like you have to use your 5 senses. Like there's like a meter for like sight, sound, smell, all that. And you use this thing called the horror monitor. You go into first person and you mark areas where you think there's going to be a trap or an enemy. And if you predict it, then you get adrenaline. And if you don't, then if you like these scares will like wound you and shit, and you'll start bleeding. You'll have to use like gauze, and then you fight. It's kind of like it has like pseudo RPG elements and shit. I can't really explain it. It's really fucking
What's
weird.
it called?
It's called Ill Bleed.
Look
it up on YouTube and see. It's probably worth a lot of money now, so it might be a little pricey, but it's one of my favorite games ever.
I'm gonna look it up on eBay and see if it is expensive. See if I should even bother.
There's a giant worm level. It's like Tremors. There's a slasher movie one. It gets real fucking weird, like really meta. Like you end up fighting a giant demonic Sonic the Hedgehog as a boss in one of the areas.
This is expensive.
How much?
There's one for $179 on here.
Holy
Jesus.
135, 99, 89, 90, 119.
Honestly, it's worth it. I bought a Dreamcast just to play it. Look up video of it. It's so amazingly good.
Yeah, I will look up video on. 504. Somebody has it on here.
Hmm.
I'm gonna take my ass up to Grumpy Bob's and see if I can get it there or V-Stock. They had some Dreamcast games. Bleed. I'll look up the gameplay for that. Is it actually scary or is it just?
It's kind of like weirdly cartoony. It's got a little bit of anime-ish look to it. But it's all movie themed. You'll love it, man. You'll fucking love it.
Surprised I never heard of it.
It was really obscure. It was big in Japan. It's very Japanese.
I was gonna say because when it came out, I was working in the video game department in Toys R Us.
There's a level that's a parody of Toy Story.
Oh god.
You're playing as a toy whose owner, the little boy, he dies, and his last wish is for you to be in his casket. So you have to go through like Toy Story land to try to get, and then the end of the level, you get into his fucking coffin before they bury him. It's so fucked up.
That sounds out of control.
I
found some gameplay on YouTube.
You fight like possessed mannequins and giant bugs and fucking all sorts of weird shit.
Sounds like a Mike Lombardo movie, honestly.
That sounds crazy as fuck.
It is crazy as fuck. Like it is super whacked out.
Is it worth $500?
It's worth $90. Hell,
Really?
I'd pay $100 for it. Honestly, it's worth it to me. I play it, and then you can play through the game a second time, and there's a different ending and shit. And it's really whacked out. But yes, that's lovely.
Michael Reynolds' Visual Horror Land.
Mike's Lombardo's getting giddy, folks.
I love it so much.
All right. So that about wraps up our Resident Evil 2 discussion tonight. My name is Bryan. You can follow me on Instagram at The Hard View and YouTube at Bryan Enright and Facebook at Bryan Enright. Right there at the bottom. Up next, we have Jared Letourneau. Jared, where can we find you?
You guys can follow me on Facebook at Jared Letourneau or on Twitter at @zombie_survivor. And as I reiterated earlier, Patrick Mahomes for VMP.
VMP?
MVP. I said VMP. Wow.
All right. Thank you very much, Jared. Up next, Mike Lombardo. Where can we find you?
You can find me at realsplatter.com, real with 2 E's. Facebook.com/RealSplatter, my personal page as well, and most importantly, ScreamTeamReleasing.com, where you can buy I'm Dreaming for White Doomsday on Blu-ray and DVD, and also on Amazon.com. And buy off Scream Teams, we make more money. Please, back to you.
Thank you very much, Mike. And last but not least, our president, Razor. Ray, where can we find you?
Check out my Instagram. It's Razor33. I've been really trying to do a lot more pictures of myself because I'm cute. Let's face it, I'm cute.
Cute.
Although my daughter cringes and says, "You're not cute, you're handsome." I'll take it.
Oh,
Yeah. As Mike said. What?
I can't disagree.
Hey, that's the beard. As Mike said, check out ScreamTeamReleasing.com, where you can pick up I'm Dreaming of a White Doomsday, The Witching Season, The Barn 1031, and coming, I think, this month, Close Calls will be available for pre-order. So check that out. And I want to thank Justin again for letting his crazy team sponsor us. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and everyone. X going to give it to you.